door couldn't fucking open! Hey, open the door.
I can't! The inner door won't open when the outside door's been triggered. It would decompress the entire ship.
Oh my god. Mama Bear. Open the door. Come on, please. Captain!
Patch me through to him.
Captain Miller, tell them to open the door.
They can't do that, Justin.
I don't want to die in here.
You're not gonna die. I want you to listen to me very carefully, and I'm gonna get you out of there.
Oh my god. It's starting. My eyes.
Don't think about him. Shut him. Just shut him as tight as you can.
That's right. Event Horizon. Oh, God, I love the Bad Boys. I love it. Absolute classic. As you can see from that scene, tense, horrible, in space, drama, gory, violent, barbaric. Exactly how we all like it. Hey guys, me, Steve, Noise. Welcome back to the channel, Horror Noise. Absolutely love this one. It's a bad boy. As you can tell by the fact that I've got the Blu-ray, it's a firm classic in my collection. Event Horizon, 1997 sci-fi horror epic, directed by Paul Anderson, who is famous for doing the Resident Evil, a lot of the Resident Evil sort of series, and AVP, which we won't talk about. Anyway, he struck gold with this film. Absolutely fucking fantastic. I love this film. So good, so good. It's really hard to sort of nail that sort of sci-fi horror crossover. It's polarized a little bit in the sort of horror community. I've seen quite a few people sort of write this film off. But for me, you know, Alien is the perfect embodiment of a sort of horror in space that, you know, destitute, you know, lost in space, millions of light years away from home, and, you know, something horrible out to get you. I don't think a sci-fi film has ever embodied that sort of terror perfectly. I think Alien's still probably the best film to ever encapsulate that. Aliens is still the best film of all time for me. It took those elements and then put it up to 15, you know, through the roof. Some unbelievable characters, unbelievable acting, epic one-liners. You know, still to this day, people are quoting some of the lines. You know, get away from her, you bitch, or game over, man, game over. You know, Aliens is still the greatest sci-fi horror movie of all time. But we had a big gap in between those films. Has anything ever come close to that? I think Event Horizon is the only one I can think of that's ever come near, ever come close. And it's brilliant. It's so good. I know it's 1997. I know you look at some of the special effects now, you know, it's in zero gravity, and they get into the ship and, you know, bottles of water are flying around. You may look at it and go, that looks a bit suspect, but keep in mind, 1997. So I still think it holds up today. I think it's fucking fantastic. But anyway, I'm going into spoilers in this one. So if you haven't seen this film, it's been out since 1997. What are you doing with your life? Trust me, awesome. So Event Horizon is star-studded. It's got so many unbelievable, awesome actors in it. You know what I mean? Listen to this cast. Sam Neill, Jolie Richardson, Lawrence Fishburne, Jason Isaacs, and Sean Pertwee. The sexiest white Cockney geezer ever. He's got that voice, and he's lovely. But yeah, the cast in this film is just second to none, man. It's, you know, it's for a sort of a sci-fi, you know, underrated sci-fi horror that didn't go too well in the box office, to be honest. you look at that cast, it's just, yeah, you know, top level stuff. But anyway, so again, spoilers. If you haven't seen this film, what are you doing? Sort it out. So the Event Horizon, the actual term itself, is in the scientific community, is also the name of a black hole, which is very prevalent in this film. So it starts around this spaceship called the Event Horizon, funny enough, which is the first ever spaceship that had this technology to be able to travel faster than the speed of light throughout the universe. Now, rather than just go like in a straight line. It does it amazingly well in this film, actually. There's a scene where they talk about how the ship actually works, and it does it perfectly. Rather than just going as fast as it can in a straight line, it creates a black hole. It goes through the black hole and then it comes out the other side of the universe. In theory, it sounds perfect, doesn't it? It sounds lovely. But what they don't know is that when you create a black hole, where does the ship go? They had no idea. That was this maiden voyage. And when it came out the other side of the universe, somewhere near Neptune, I think they said in the film, the original sort of crew that were on the ship, there was no reply from them. They just completely went off radar, went off, contact. So this crew, who obviously in this film, the Event Horizon, was sent as a refuge, as a rescue ship, out to a distress signal out near Neptune. But none of the original crew were ever told what the distress signal was or what ship it came from. The only person who knew was Sam Neill. His character is Dr. Weir, and he's the actual scientist who created this technology about going through a black hole, coming out the other side of the universe. All the other crew had no idea. So when they get out to Neptune after travelling for, Jesus Christ, must have been 10, 20 years, whatever, in cryogenic freezing. Oh God, you can tell I've had a couple of beers tonight. So when they get there, they're awakened and they're given the good news that they're there to salvage the Event Horizon, and they lose all their shit. I think this was like a folklore, like a folk tale. Why the fuck are we all the way out here looking for a sort of ghost, a joke? And lo and behold, they find it, the Event Horizon. And when they board it, very reluctantly, may I add, the crew are not only not alive, they are basically resorted to almost like puddles all up the sort of the captain's, the front end of the ship. You see that it's just basically gore, body parts, blood, ribs, you name it, just all splattered all up the ship. So whatever happened in the Event Horizon, it was something fucking graphic, and it's only when this crew get there to try and salvage a puddle, good luck, slowly do they decide, slowly do they realise and start to experience what the original crew went through. When the ship went through a black hole, it's brought something back with them, and it later sort of arrives that the ship went to hell. Dr. Weir gets absolutely infatuated and gets sucked in by whatever entity is in the ship, and he delightfully tells all the crew that the Event Horizon went to hell and brought hell back with them. And when they go, yeah, we went to hell, he goes, hell's only a word. You need to experience it. Touches their head, and then you see flashbacks of everything that the crew went through. And let's just say this film's already an 18, but there's a fun story when it comes to this film. There you go. 18, brutal as fuck. But it could have been so much more. It could have been so much worse. The original film was actually showed to test audiences, and it was apparently so hated and so polarized. So many people walked out the at the showing, because apparently it was so disgusting and so OTT that I think it's Paramount. They demanded that the director Paul Anderson cut up to 23 minutes of footage from the original film. That's how bad it was. Like, usually when you hear about sort of director's cuts, it's like 4 or 5 minutes extra little, you know, death scenes. 25 minutes of this film had to be cut because it was that violent. And the funny thing is, this is obviously the era before everything being digitalized. It was actually stored, the actual hard copy sort of reels of the original film was stored in like somewhere in Israel or something. It ended up in a salt mine. They managed to find the original sort of uncut director's cut of Event Horizon, and it was completely destroyed. And it's almost gone down in history as like the holy grail of horror sort of movies that were lost in time. Everyone wants to see that fucking director's cut. And to those people who were in that test screening or that market research, if you were one of them, have a fucking word with yourself. Give your head a wobble, you absolute cretin. You robbed me, and you robbed all of these people out here, all of these beautiful horror fans, of a true and utter epic film. Because Event Horizon is an amazing film as it is. But imagine 25 minutes extra blood and gore. And you see it. You see it in like flashbacks. When Dr. Weir eventually loses his mind and he's the sort of embodiment of hell, almost like Satan. And he's inflicting all of his horror on all the crew members that are on board. You see these brief little flashbacks of everything that the people are going to go through. Barbed wire coming out of their neck and entrails being ripped out of their mouths, and torture, being skinned alive. I mean, it's like, it makes Hellraiser look like fucking Peppa Pig. It was just anyway. So Event Horizon also has that one scene. I said obviously this term, that scene, a bit like in Hereditary. It has this one scene where Justin is sucked into his gravitational he calls it the gravity drive, which is like this orb that has these discs that these sort of rings that spin around this orb, and that creates the energy for the ship and creates these black holes. And there's this character called Justin who gets sucked into this almost like a temporary little mini sort of black hole. He gets sucked into it, and when he comes out, he's just like a zombie. He's basically on the sick bay. He's like on the bed for about an hour, and he just randomly gets up, and he walks into an airlock without a spacesuit on. So you can imagine how that went. You saw the clip at the beginning. Let's just say it didn't go well for him. That's one of the most upsetting and horrific scenes I've seen since the original John Hurst alien burst scene, you know, where the alien comes out of his chest. It was epic. It was fun. As a horror fan, you know, we all sort of crave those horrible, nasty scenes, but it's actually really, really genuinely upsetting, because this guy Justin, I mean, I think he's only about 19, 20 in it, and he's already gone through hell, literally, and he just went through it again, and he gets absolutely fucking annihilated in it. You know, you've seen that scene. Let's just say his eyes explode. You can see all his veins popping out, blood coming out of every single orifice. That scene makes Event Horizon a classic on its own, you know. So it goes on. Obviously, Dr. Weir is the bad guy in it, and Lawrence Fishburne obviously gets the better of him. The ending is a tiny bit cheesy, a little bit corny. I understand sometimes why this film gets these tags about, you know, it's a bit cheesy, a bit gory, a bit corny. But overall, I think, bar the ending, which is a little bit, you know, roll your eyes, I think this film has so much to it, so many layers, so much sort of paranoia and anxiety. This entity that they bring back from hell, it plays on everyone's insecurities and plays everyone against each other. It's almost like, you know, any kind of like, I don't know, deer hunter, or, you know, people like cabin fever, being in a certain place for so long, they get so paranoid and they start turning on each other. There's a lot of layers and there's a lot of levels to this film that make it very enjoyable, really intense. And again, the cast in it are just so brilliant, so star-studded. I think they're absolutely fantastic. But anyway, so Event Horizon, 1997. Noise gives it a 8.5. 8.5. It's not, it doesn't quite hit a 9. It's nowhere near sort of Aliens. But when it comes to a sci-fi horror, it's up there. It's up there with the best. It's very enjoyable, very gory, and some unbelievable performances from a really, really solid cast. So, Noise, highly recommends it. 8.5. Go out and see it. If you haven't seen it yet, what are you doing? Anyway, I'm blabbering on. Much love. Take care. Thank you for all the support. And like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. Much love, folks. I'll be posting again real soon. Take care. See you later.